So for the freshman only housing, we have Fisher, Hill, King's Court English House. So for the freshman only housing, we have Fisher. For four-year housing, we have Gregory. Hi everybody, my name is Diana. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am a student at UPenn and I actually just finished my freshman year of college. I thought it would be cool to make a video on the freshman housing options at Penn because there aren't really that many that show the different options and they don't really include any opinions on like how to rank it. When I came to Penn, I didn't really know what to expect and thankfully the housing rankings worked out and I got a really good option. But for those who are incoming freshmen or just even prospective students who are looking to learn more about housing at Penn, I'm hoping that this video will be like your guide to Penn housing. Penn actually requires students to live on campus for the first 2 years, so I really think that it can make or break your college experience where you end up living. There's just a huge variation in the different vibes of the different houses. Like some are more social, some are more academic, studious. In this video, I will be sharing some of my hot takes and I talked with some of my friends and peers about it, so I think that it's not just my hot take. Like I think there's a pretty good consensus about the different reputations of the college houses, and I will also show some footage of the singles, doubles, triples, and suites in the different college houses, just to give you an idea of what you might be getting if you're coming to Penn next year. So for a quick overview, there are 9 housing options for freshmen, and 4 of them are for four-year housing, so that's people from all years. And then there's 5 options that are freshmen only. For freshmen only, we have Fisher, Hill, King's Court English, Riepe, and Ware. And Fisher, Riepe, and Ware, they're all right next to each other and they make up what we call the quadrangle, or the quad for short. And for four-year housing, we have Gregory, Lauder, Stouffer, and W.E.B, Du Bois. And it's pronounced Du Bois, not Du Bois, I learned recently. Okay, so this is my hot take. In my opinion, if you want to have a social life as a freshman, there are 2 options that are relevant, the quad or hill. And that's not to say that you can't have a social life if you live in four-year housing like Du Bois, Gregory, Stouffer, or Lauder, or in King's Court English. But I just think it's going to be a lot harder as a freshman because in these four-year college houses, not everybody's in the same boat in terms of wanting to socialize and meet new people and make new friends. When you choose a freshman-only college house, when you get to Penn, and in the first month when everybody's like trying to make new friends and meet new people, like everybody is in the same boat and everybody wants to socialize, and you don't get that with the four-year housing. Also, King's Court English College House, which we call K-Check for short, it just is known to be more of a study-friendly, like not as socializing friendly environment because it just tends to be a lot quieter. So I would not recommend that as much. Even though some of the four-year houses are very, very nice, you have 4 years to live in them. So why not take advantage of the freshman-only community and make as many new friends and make as many connections as possible? That is my hot take. So to me, I think the big decision for freshmen who are coming to Penn is whether they choose the quad or hill. Because the difference between the different houses in the quad, so between Fisher, Riepe, and Ware, it's pretty negligible and they're like all right next to each other. The very big decision that you have to make is basically the quad or hill. So Fisher Hassenfeld College House, we call it Fisher for short, it makes up the upper quad. and it has the upper quad gate. There's always students out and about. It really is that quintessential freshman dorm experience. Some pros are that it is freshman only, it's very secure, so there's security guards 24/7. It's very social and it's pretty central on campus. I would say that compared to Riepe and Ware, the other houses in the quad, it is probably the most central, although the difference, like I said, is pretty negligible. It's like probably 50 extra feet closer to the center of campus. It has a lot of amazing study rooms, and it has one of my favorite study spaces called the Nipple. It also has some convenient laundry rooms and is close to McClelland, which is the dining hall that is within the quad. It's the only freshman house that has a statue in it, which I think is kind of fun. Some cons is that, like the other areas in the quad, it is pretty outdated. The appliances are not super nice, and the facilities have not been updated in a while. The reason they don't have to do it is because people want to live in the quad because it is the most social. If you can handle not the nicest showers or bathrooms for a year, I would say that that trade-off is worth it, because the quad is like the most social and it is like the iconic freshman living area of Penn. Gregory is a 4-year house. I know a few freshmen who live there, but I would not recommend putting that at the top of your college list, just because, like I mentioned before, if you choose a 4-year house, there are going to be people in there that aren't necessarily trying to make new friends or meet new people, because there might be upperclassmen. So you're really just gonna miss out on that freshman experience of socializing and making new friends when you first get onto campus. Like I said before, you have 4 years to live in 4-year housing, so why would you miss out on freshman only housing, even if Gregory is slightly nicer than the quad? Hill houses about 500 freshmen, and it has amazing, clean, modern facilities, and it's definitely known for just being a lot nicer than the quad. I would say like some pros are that the people in Hill get very close. The community is very tight-knit. The con is that you get really tight-knit, but only with the Hill people, because the location of Hill is not as central, so it's like a 10-minute walk from the quad, and that just is a little bit isolating. So the people who are in Hill, they tend to just be friends with the people in Hill, or if you're very social, you'll just end up probably being in the quad a lot more because there's just a lot more freshmen there. Some pros though of Hill are that there's a lot of Smarties, so the Ben Franklin scholars have to live there. There's a great dining hall, Hill, which just is better than McClelland's, which is the dining hall in the quad, in like basically every aspect. It has laundry rooms, just like a lot of common areas. Based on what I've talked with my friends about in Hill, because the rooms are on the smaller side, it encourages people to go work in the common areas, and so you can get really close with people in your hall or on your floor. It is just really fun, I think, because it's divided into 4 different colors. Also, it's just nice, I guess, if you're an engineer, because it's a lot closer to the engineering quad. You're going there a lot. It could be nice to not have to walk the extra 10 minutes from the quad. So Kings Court English College House is made up of 2 different buildings, Kings Court and English House. I recently learned when I was doing my research for this. And it is off of Locust, so I would say it is actually pretty central. It's maybe like a 10-minute walk from either side of campus, but it is known for being relatively studious and quiet, and it is probably not the best environment if you want to be socializing a lot, is what I've heard, and is just like what historically has been K-Check's reputation. And it can be a little bit isolating just because it is farther away from the quad than like the houses in the quad. I would say like the pros are that if you are trying to study a lot and are very like school focused, this could be a really great opportunity to have a very quiet study space. Also, there is a great dining hall that has smoothies in the morning apparently, and the rooms are a lot larger, and it's next to White Dog, Kiwi, New Deck, just like all of those restaurants that a lot of students go to, and it's near Urban Outfitters, which is fun. I would not recommend ranking this very high on your college house rankings because it's just not that quintessential freshman year experience. But yeah, it's really just about what you prefer, because if you do want to be like focused on school and you want that quiet study environment and you don't really care about like being friends with the people in your hallway or in your building, then K-Chat could be a good option for you because it definitely is known to be super like study friendly. Lauder is a 4-year house, and it is actually very, very nice. It is very modern and clean, and students live in 3 to 6 people suites, but they usually have like their own single within the suite, so it's actually kind of nice because you get like a single, but you also have like that larger community of like people living in your suite. And you also share bathrooms, so that can be a plus because you don't share it with like an entire hallway of people, but the con is that you actually have to clean the bathroom yourself. Like all the other college houses, Lauder has its own dining hall, and Lauder's dining hall I would say is one of the better ones. It's just like a lot nicer because you can actually get an entire meal from like one meal swipe, and it's like just nicer food. The cons are that it's not freshman only, so you just miss out on that like socializing craze that you get in the first month of school when everybody's trying to make new friends. And the location is further from the main part of campus, so Lauder's like right next to Hill, and as you can tell from the map, it's just a little bit further from everything, which can be a little bit isolating, especially if you like plan on going out a lot with friends. Then you're gonna have to make like a 10-minute trek back from everything at the end of the night, which might not be ideal. I would personally not rank Lauder that high for freshman housing just because you miss out on the socializing benefits of freshman only housing, and you just have 3 more years to live there. Riepe is another house that is in the quad, and it is the home of the mini quad, which is a super cute little area. It's the smallest house in the quad, and I don't think there's really a difference between Riepe, Ware, and Fisher, as I said before, but if you are looking to be like slightly closer to the engineering quad or math department buildings, so like David Rittenhouse lab, it is slightly closer because it is in the lower quad and there's like the lower quad entrance. But yeah, definitely still super lively. People are always out and about in the quad. So Stouffer, I low-key forgot to film because I don't actually know anybody who lives there. I don't know any freshmen who live in Stouffer. I consider myself a pretty social person, so the fact that I've never met anybody who lives in Stouffer I think says a lot. Stouffer is a 4-year college house, and it's located right outside of the upper quad gate. I would say the location's pretty good. It apparently has like a pretty tight-knit community because there aren't that many people who live there, and it apparently, according to the Daily Penn, has like the highest retention rate of people who continue living in Stouffer all 4 years. It's just not as conducive to socializing or like meeting as many people as possible because it seems like a lot of the Stouffer people are friends with Stouffer people rather than like all freshmen from anywhere. W.E.B. Du Bois College House is definitely a very nice area. It is located across the street from like Chipotle, Sweet Green, Cane's, and it's like very small, so the community I would say is a lot more tight-knit. It's just also like has the issues of like being a 4-year college house, so you miss out on freshman only experiences. Du Bois is historically known to be like a safe community for Black students, and recently there's been like some controversy because the demographics of the people living in there have been like less Black students. It's definitely become less like focus on supporting Black academic achievement, scholarship, and culture. They also say like the facilities aren't as nice as they used to be, and the advertising is a little bit like misleading. But if you're looking for that community, like a smaller community feel, you could definitely like get that from Du Bois. Finally, Ware is the one that I live in. I love Ware. It is in the middle of the quad. So it is next to the upper quad gate and near the lower quad gate, kind of. I just really like it because it is super, super social. There's a hallway in it, Butcher Speakman, which has historically been known to be like the most social hallway. I think it's because there's just like only doubles in that hallway. My friends who live there, they have this like open door policy with all the other people in their hallway, so they can just like walk in and out, which I think is like amazing for a freshman who's like trying to meet new people. I guess like another thing is that where a lot of the M&T kids, so management and technology kids, they live there. So I guess that has like pros and cons depending on if you're looking for like diversity in the people that you interact with in your hallway. I personally am not in M&T, but I haven't really had like an issue with like only meeting M&T people in my hallway. Also, Ware is like the closest to McClelland, which has McClelland sushi bar, and it's the closest to the quad fitness room. The quad doesn't actually have a gym, it only has a fitness room, so I don't know if that's like that much of a pro, because I think a lot of people just end up going to Pottruck, which is the actual gym, but that could be a nice little thing if you like running on the treadmill or biking. I think that if you can tolerate not as nice facilities and you want to be super social and be in a lively environment, Ware or Riepe or Fisher in the quad is like definitely what you should rank #1 for your housing, just because it is, as I've said so many times in this video, it is that like classic freshman iconic experience. You really can't go wrong if you choose the quad or hill. It's really about what you're looking for. If you want that tight-knit community of like people, but they only happen to be from your building, versus in the quad, which has just a lot more students that you can interact with from 3 different college houses. So that was like the housing overview, and I am going to talk a little bit about like rooming, so single versus double, triple, and suite. I actually heard, because my brother's coming to Penn next year, that they changed the housing application so you can't actually rank the different rooming options, but I thought I might as well just like talk a little bit about it. In short, I would recommend choosing either a single or a triple. As a freshman, I think that a single is amazing. I have a single. It's so nice to have your own space. Privacy can be hard to come by in college, especially when you don't have like your own personal bathroom or anything. So it's nice to have like a little space for yourself, especially if you're somebody who's like very social. It's nice to be able to come back to your own space, not have to worry about like a roommate. Also, for people who are more studious, a single can be nice because you can study in your room. If you are social, having a single might motivate you to go study outside of your room. If you're less extroverted but you still want to be social, I would recommend a triple, and that's because triples in the quad especially, those are basically just like suites of like singles. As you can tell from the video, there are different rooms that come off of a main room in a triple, so if you end up in one of the side rooms, you basically just have a single, but you also have like roommates or like suite mates who also live in the triple with you, which is honestly pretty nice. And I think that maybe I could have considered it because a lot of the triples end up being like super social and you can host a lot of people in them, and it's nice because then you don't just like make one friend, you make 2 friends. Everybody that I know who lives in triples has really loved it. I would recommend choosing a triple over a double, just because if you want to host a lot of people, it's just a lot larger. There definitely like are pros and cons to a double because there is the potential to meet your best friend for life, but with a double, there just comes a lot of potential for things to go wrong. I've seen people who end up being best friends with their roommates, but I've also seen people who have gone random and just ended up with somebody who didn't have the same like sleep schedule, study habits as them, and it just has worked out poorly. If you choose a roommate and you don't end up liking them, you're gonna have to live with them for the rest of the year, and you're gonna probably be mad at yourself for choosing somebody that you don't actually like. At least that's what I've seen with some people. The nice thing is that Penn does let people leave their doubles if there's like a valid reason to, but I think that you probably just want to get it right on the first time so you don't have to like worry about moving everything out in the middle of the year. Also, the range of like different double sizes in the quad and in other housing options at Penn is just like very big. In Hill, the doubles are like very small, so I think you just like really don't get that personal space, versus in K-Check they're larger, but then it's just like you're compromising on that socializing aspect. And finally, suite style, you definitely get like a really nice like living environment because you get your own single or like potential double, your own bathroom and shower and like living room area. But I would not recommend choosing a suite just because those are only in the more like isolated four-year housing options. So yeah, I hope this video was really helpful. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me over Instagram DM. There are also some additional resources that I've linked, and I actually wrote out an entire freshman housing guide, so that has all of my opinions and hot takes just typed out. So definitely check that out. It's on Coda, which is an incredible website that allows people to create docs that are as powerful as apps, and it's like an all-in-one doc that has everything about freshman housing and rooming and everything that I shared in this video and more. So definitely check that out if you have more questions. But basically, my hot takes are that as an incoming freshman, you should definitely choose the quad, so Fisher, Ware, or Riepe, or Hill if you prefer something that is a little bit smaller and has nicer facilities. And then if you are choosing rooms, go single because it's amazing to have your own space. But if you do really want to have the roommate experience, go triple because it is going to be a larger room and more social because it can become like a social hub. And yeah, this video was a lot. It was definitely like my most ambitious video I've ever made, but I really hope it was helpful. Let me know in the comments if you liked seeing this content and if you want anything similar to this. I'll see you guys in my next video.